That's the X question that every team has to ask when they play against the Browns. What are we doing with Miles? If you don't have a good answer, what are you going to do, right? And that's the part of this that's frustrating to me, and it's been frustrating all summer because it's been all about one player, right, and his impact on the team. And we've talked about Baker Mayfield and what that means and what the Browns aren't going to achieve because they don't have this guy, but the best players on the team were never named Baker Mayfield ever for the Cleveland Browns. Hey, G, man, it's finally week 1.
Finally, man. It's just, that's refreshing just to get back to watching some games and to get that feel, that season. It's upon us, man. I still get butterflies to this day because I be thinking like I got to go to 2 days or I'm supposed to be on a plane or a bus getting ready. And it didn't. And I talked to a lot of former players and they say that part never really ends up leaving you. So it's super dope that we got a couple of days before the game.
It's crazy. I mean, there's been a couple storylines about this game. I guess, Rashard Higgins coming back to town is a big one, but, the elephant in the room is the whole Baker Mayfield thing. Obviously, that's what a lot of people are focusing on. I don't know. Here's how I've been feeling. I feel like people have overanalyzed the Baker Mayfield stuff for so long that we have ignored that a football game has to be played here, right? And in that, we haven't really talked about the football in this, which I feel like has led to some wild predictions and thoughts about this game, given what the football, look, not everything works on paper, but this thing says very clearly on paper it's going to lean in one direction, which is why the line has went from like 3.5 to basically a push now, because people are sobering up like, hey, man, we even talk about this Baker Mayfield so long. We forgot one team has Myles Garrett and another team has nothing to do to stop Myles Garrett, right? Like it's
they just give him these stats like kind of like Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick has had a great quarterback his whole life, and they were decent on defense. You know what I mean? Some defenses they had were better than others. But, then when Bill Belichick would do something, everybody and every media guy, there's so many people are copycatting, they're just making sure that, Bill is actually getting his money off. And so for me, I look at it from a standpoint of, they inflate Baker's game based on how they feel. So they like if we feel Deshaun Watson in here, Baker automatically is 2-3 ticks better, right? Since Baker is with another team, he's automatically 2-3 ticks better because he's mad and he got a chip on his shoulder. Pretty soon by the time you give him all these extra credit points for not really doing nothing, the dude is in the top 5 quarterbacks in the league based on your premise. It just don't make no sense to me.
And the argument that we're getting here that I've heard, right, the closest thing to a coherent football argument that I've heard is, well, the Panthers have the better quarterback, or at least the more talented quarterback, right? I think that's a little bit debatable, right? Like, is Baker Mayfield more talented than Jacoby Brissett? I'm not going to argue that he's not. He is a more talented quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. But that doesn't necessarily dictate who's better, right, for a given game. And when we look back at some of Baker Mayfield's losses, he lost that one game to the Jets. Zach Wilson wasn't even playing. Now again, that was a COVID game, but still, Big Ben on his last legs. He's lost 2 of those last year. He also lost a game against Duck Hodges, right? In Pittsburgh. It's not.
He lost that one game. He lost the one game in Denver to a quarterback who had never taken a snap before.
Oh, yeah, Brandon Allen, right? Brad Allen. Does usually the better quarterback win the football game? Sure, but I think that's a respect reserved for franchise quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Or I feel like top 10.
Well, I mean, franchise, you top 10, you basically a franchise quarterback. Top 10 quarterbacks don't become available, which is why they command such a high price tag. So it's if Baker was better than what I think this kind of goes into what you think about. I think people want right now. Like, given how the narratives are lined up, given what people are pushing right now, they want Baker Mayfield to be better than what he's shown so far, right? And that happens a lot. We want, like, I remember I was watching the broadcast last night, the Thursday night football opener, and boy, oh boy, did they want Matt Stafford to be good. I remember Mike Tirico in the first quarter was talking about this has been a pretty good quarterback game. There were 2 interceptions in the first quarter. Yeah. What are you talking about?
He was getting sacked, pressured.
He missed dudes by like Island. Yeah. It was like, but they want these guys to be good, right? For whatever reason. You know, they're pushing a feel-good story with Matt Stafford and probably thinking they're pushing a feel-good redemption story for Baker Mayfield. So these guys, they want this dude to be better than he is. But the reality is that the narrative you're pushing does not equal the talent that Baker Mayfield has showed. Can he make a difference in this game? Absolutely. We've seen Baker Mayfield ball out randomly in one game. Even if he does play well, that doesn't change the narrative on him, because the narrative has always been that he's an inconsistent player, right? And last I checked, you can't prove you're consistent in one game, right? That is a long trek, but nobody's going to want to hear that, right? So we get into this thing to where people are giving these narratives like, oh, well, you know, if this were Tom Brady, yeah, better quarterback wins the game. More than likely. Brown's going to have to figure something out. But Baker's not in that level of quarterback to where just because you're more talented, and I will stress this, he's in that range of quarterbacks who he's more talented. Yeah. But that don't mean he's better. Like, he's more talented than Kirk Cousins, but he's not better than Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean?
You got to go out and do it. Like, you can't just sit back and just rest on the fact that you have a mentality where I'm this gunslinger, I had a chip on my shoulder. That don't really translate to actually can you throw the ball or not. Mm-hmm. That is why one of the reasons it hit so hard. When that video came out and they said it was Odell's dad, but it was somebody else that he just like retweeted it. That was the turning point, because when you had that happening, all of a sudden, people was like, yeah, bro, you do have airmail footballs. The covers was off at that point. Like, we saw what exactly was going on. And then he got extremely defensive and angry, right? If you know that sometimes your receiver's in the wrong or certain circumstances prohibit you from getting the ball to somebody, you can always say, you know, they gave us a different look today. You know, we definitely got to keep getting the ball. Maybe we got to stay after practice or something. But when he got him up out of here, de facto, peace out, that shows a lot. That shows that you really do feel like you're an elite quarterback, but you have some sort of conflict inside because you know your skill set ain't there. So you just fake it till you make it, all cap.
Well, I mean, like, he and people are going to argue with this and say, yeah, that's not what Baker's thinking, but like, he doesn't think that Deshaun Watson's an upgrade from him, right? That tells you everything about what his mindset currently is, about where he sees himself. I'm in the pantheon of NFL quarterbacks, and good for him, right? He should probably think highly of himself. He should probably do some work to put that up, but, you know, he should probably think high of himself. And that's one of the things with Baker and with this whole game where I'm like, yeah, we talked to death this narrative, right, about Baker Mayfield, revenge game, but my thing that I'm interested in is like, okay, they got a 6th pick overall on Myles Garrett. And keep in mind, the Carolina Panthers are a team that has Christian McCaffrey. I'm sorry. You're not sending Christian McCaffrey out to run chip blocks, right? No. You know what I mean? It's like when the Browns play the Chiefs. They're not going to keep Travis Kelce into chip block, right? They want Travis Kelce off the line of scrimmage so he can get open, right? So that is what I see as a huge problem for Carolina, right? I see some critical flaws for the Carolina Panthers. I've yet to see discussed. I want to know what you think of them. Let me go through first real quick.
All right.
They can't stop outside zone. They're a good inside zone stopping team. They're terrible at outside zone. Brian Burns does not set the edge well. He does not hold his edge. He's one of them dudes that like to chase the dog, right? You know, see ball, hit ball. He's one of those guys, right? He's really good at that, but sometimes you can really take advantage of that. Browns are a team that runs a lot of play action, a lot of misdirection, and a lot of outside zone. That's not going to work. That's not going to be a good matchup for you, right? That's just on the offensive side of the ball. We flip this thing to the defensive side of the ball. I see problems galore. Defensive line-wise to offensive line, I think they got an okay right tackle. I believe their right tackle's fine, but their left tackle situation, I mean, he's a young draft pick, but that's Myles Garrett, right? And I don't care how good of a draft pick you are. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. Like, when people were mad at James Hudson because TJ Watt was getting there, by the way, TJ Watt was getting there after like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. But yeah. TJ Watt, so he was actually playing well. But TJ Watt gonna get there on a rookie. It don't matter how good that rookie is, right? So Myles is on a rookie. That's not a good matchup for them. We look at this from a secondary standpoint. Yeah, they got some good wide receivers. They got DJ Moore. He's a baller. They got DJ Moore. Yeah, Robbie Anderson can go deep. But this is nothing. Nothing is close to stressful as what the Browns played with the Bengals. Like, I'm sorry. All 3 of those Bengals receivers are better than DJ Moore. Like, they can get mad at me as much as they want in Carolina for that.
And they got a solid running game.
Yeah, and they got Joe Mixon, right? Who's healthy all the time, right? So, like, the Browns' defense has been stressed more than what the Panthers can do. Lamar Jackson in that offense is much more stressful than what the Panthers can provide.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers last year was much more stressful than what that offense could provide. And then we look at the Panthers offense versus like a Bengals team, and it's like, it ain't even close, dog. And you have a worse offensive line than what the Bengals had last year. So when you have those problems matched up against you, you're not good at stopping the Browns' best weapon, which is Nick Chubb on offense. You're not good at it. And then we factor that on top of, hey, man, what y'all going to do with Myles Garrett, right? That's the X question that every team has to ask when they play against the Browns. What are we doing with Myles? If you don't have a good answer, what are you going to do, right? And that's the part of this that's frustrating to me, and it's been frustrating all summer because it's been all about one player, right, and his impact on the team. And we've talked about Baker Mayfield and what that means and what the Browns aren't going to achieve because they don't have this guy, but the best players on the team were never named Baker Mayfield ever for the Cleveland Browns. No. When they were being hyped up by the national media the last 3 years, it was because of Odell. It was because of Myles. It was because of the work that Nick Chubb has put out there. It was because of Denzel Ward.
You finally started having people that were all pros that panned out. You look at the draft doors he had. Denzel Ward hit. He also hit on second round guy. Denzel Ward. Oh, David Njoku. They ended up giving a extension to. He was probably late first round pick. And then you had Jabril Peppers, who was part of that group, who got 3 first-round picks or whatever. But when you look at it, they got ball players. They got some depth. And we take the look at the scouting report, and the injury report is saying that Greedy Williams is out indefinitely. So that's one down. So the pick of Martin Emerson looks kind of good right now, don't it? Mm-hmm. He's gonna be a guy that I think is gonna get some playing time.
Oh, gee, you know who else I think? I think I'm gonna be. I was first on the scene to tell y'all about these Josh Dobbs packages. I'm not saying I don't know anybody, right? I want to make this very clear. I don't know anybody in the organization. I'm not talking to him. I'm coming up with this just by me looking at the roster, looking at this film, and just saying this makes sense, right? And I think sometimes people rely on that inside information so much that they become blind to what's right in front of them because they don't really evaluate what they're seeing. They wait for somebody else's evaluation.
That's the industry game. Wait. And then say, "Oh, I told."
Because I was shocked that like so many people didn't see the 2-quarterback system coming. I'm like that was obvious to me from like week 1 of the preseason that they probably are going to run that way. But this is something else that I'm seeing. Look at where DeAnthony Bell's on that depth chart. Look at what DeAnthony he jumped Richard LeCounte on that depth chart, and I want y'all to keep in mind what did DeAnthony Bell demonstrate that he was really good at in the preseason. You remember G. Bush?
They said he had good hands.
Good hands, attacking the ball, good instincts at that position, good blitzer from the safety position, and somebody who can cover with help over top. What that sound like to you? Yeah, you thinking of David Bell. But I'm thinking of Bell. Yeah, I'm talking about DeAnthony Bell.
No, like he can bring it. He brings it in run support, and when he gets there, he got an attitude too. And he seems to be a guy that's all over the field, whether it's just in the box on a tackle, downfield trying to do some stuff. And I definitely guarantee he might end up being the third safety if he keep playing around.
Well, G.
Ronnie Harrison.
G, I want you to ask yourself, everything that you said he's good at, does that sound like a safety or does that sound like a nickel?
That's safety to me. If you
I
gonna
think
come up
that's it.
and run, be in run support.
Everything that they asked Troy Hill to do, right? Because remember, Troy Hill
Oh,
wasn't actually being coverage, right?
yeah,
Troy Hill
Troy
was
Hill.
pretty much an extra safety on the slot, right? I think they're asking Greg Newsome, hey, if we got a dog in the slot, you're going to cover him. But when we're sending blitzers, when we need run support, when we need screen support, we need an actual slot corner, right? Somebody who's going to do. Remember how good, what was his name? MJ Stewart, right? At the end of
Yeah.
last year. Critical in getting the Browns off the field on third down, right? The upgrade at slot that he provided over Troy Hill, for whatever reason, Troy just wasn't good last year in the role that the Browns asked him to play in. The upgraded slot that he provided was the thing that got the Browns off the field on third down. You see why they put Greg Newsome there in the slot, because they're like, hey, that's the thing that's going to get us off the field at third down. And I think DeAnthony Bell is going to play a role in that. We're going to see him do a lot of that stuff that MJ Stewart was doing in the second half of the year. He's going to play some. He's going to play some. What people are going to call slot nickel DB. He's going to be that, right? He's technically a safety, but it's not. I mean, Troy Hill was playing safety last night for the Rams, right? He was basically playing safety, right? That's what they want out that position, to basically be sub linebacker, extra DB kind of a deal.
I think I think there's another couple guys that could play in there. AJ Green, Emerson could play. They're bigger. You know what I'm saying? They're around the line of scrimmage.
But
they could tackle.
My concern with like those two is, one, Emerson, I worry about the bigger corner in that role because his hips aren't great, right? He just don't have great hips. I feel like you might overexpose him. AJ Green, I feel like he's more of a cover guy. Yeah. There is a level of, I need to tackle, right? That nickel DB has to be and wants to do it. And a guy that's undrafted like DeAnthony Bell could provide himself somebody who's good for that role, and everything. And I think that's what they're probably going to go towards. Like, there's a reason he keeps climbing up the depth chart. There's a reason he keeps moving up here. There's a reason he's always near the ball, and they're sending him on blitzes from the strong safety position when the Browns don't traditionally do that, right? There is a reason for all of this. And I'm just seeing it right now. I know Greg's going to play some slot. He will be there, like if they need a slot, like a man-on-man kind of situation. But you're going to see DeAnthony Bell play a lot more than I think people are anticipating, because, I mean, it was every day in practice, not just the preseason games. Everybody who was at camp was like, nah, that dude's a dog every day, every single day.
And you might want to just have a physical guy on the slot receiver, because chances are you're going to get an open release. Like, especially off the line of scrimmage. So what you want to do is you just want to be able to mirror a guy. You're not necessarily going to be able to get no hands on him. And if he can do that, that's a big time addition to the secondary, because now it just gives you the ability to be more versatile anywhere and everywhere. You got people that Denzel Ward and Newsome can go in the slot. You got DeAnthony Bell in the slot. So you could do a lot of things. And I think this year it comes down to just Joe Woods. Like, is he going to be aggressive? Is he going to be innovative? If he's going to be able to do stuff. Now you got all your pieces, and you guys have been playing together for 1 year. So at the end of the day, he's supposed to really be out here dictating what the Carolina Panthers do, not sitting back and trying to figure out what they got and playing the rope-a-dope. Nah, man, we got to figure out if this is going to be our strong suit. We got to hit the ground running like that.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for part one. We're going to walk over to Gbqc channel. Head over there. Make sure you subscribe, notified to both of us, so you know when we both upload for your Browns needs. But now we're going to head this conversation over to Gbqc channel. Gbqc, get it started, man.